Guys, welcome to Working Fans Podcast, episode 137, where today myself and the man they call Dave will be talking AEW Revolution, Dynamite, and our top 5 of the week.
Are you a fan of pro wrestling, comedy, and combat sports? Then we have the podcast for you because we cover that and much, much more.
Do you like to debate with your friends? Do we have the perfect segment for you? It's the 531, where we take any given subject, break it down to a top 5. From there, we debate it down to 3, and then into that number 1 spot.
If you want to get a hold of us, find us on our social medias. Search Working Fans Podcast on any major social media platform. And if you want to find the podcast, search for us on any major podcast platform, as well as YouTube.
Working Fans Podcast. We put in the work so you don't have to.
Fans, as always, we are brought to you by the Pro Wrestling Vault, Volume 1, written by Vinnie Barry, 35 short stories across the wrestling landscape. Every book comes autographed by one of 11 wrestlers featured in the book. You got NWA champions, NWA junior heavyweight champions, legends, Hall of Famers. Pick this up over at lancebychance.com, where you can also get the book, Lance by Chance, Wrestling is Yvonne Eric. This is an amazing book. Vinnie Barry, brilliant author. Check out his work over there. And we are also brought to you by Connecticut People Records. Hit them up, Facebook, Instagram, wherever you are. Get to them. Get some studio time in Connecticut. Dave, now that the plugs are over, this is going to be a little different because usually it's you and Senor Strange Brew sitting in on this, but
yeah, man,
been indisposed. So you guys got me off my deathbed this week to come talk a little AEW, and I'm happy.
You never looked better, baby. I want to give you a kiss.
But you're sick though, son. You get those 5 kids sick.
I know. I got these little baby lungs too. Get all sick. You know, I'll be hitting that inhaler every day, like Lawrence Taylor. Hey. Let's just start talking about Revolution. I'm gonna do what I do with Strange Brew. We're gonna go up and down this a little bit. I will do the buy-in. We'll do it quick.
Yeah, I had to ask.
What's that?
I had to ask about the buy-in because I actually have notes on this.
Good, because that's the only thing I missed actually. So that's why I was saying we do a quick guy. Statlander and Hirsch kicked it off. Statlander, the brilliant babyface who said, "I know why your parents abandoned you." Hirsch, who is obviously the dirty heel here. How did this match go? What did you think?
Very physical for a pre-show match. I thought it was a good match to open the night. You know, it's been a feud on TV for the past several weeks, and it paid off at the pay-per-view. Layla Hirsch during the match ended up using the turnbuckle piece. You know, usually how you pull off the pad to expose the turnbuckle?
Yeah.
She had a spare one from under the ring that she hit Statlander with. It was a good match. And the thing about this whole card, from buy-in to the main event, everything has been a feud on TV. So it was nice the way it played out.
Yeah. And it led into Hirsch having some momentum going to Dynamite. We'll talk about that when we cover that. Then we had Hook versus QT Marshall. I actually got to see this. I thought what was notable about this was
you missed a couple things. We had a very good video package for the dog collar match, which I only bring up because the buy-in is a pre-show, which is supposed to sell you on the event.
Yeah.
And Tony Schiavone was in the ring, and he called out Kenny Omega for a big interview.
Yes, Don Callis.
So he calls out somebody for a big interview. You get the Kenny Omega music, Titantron, and then Don Callis walks out. And it was basically, it just felt like the promo was to keep Kenny in your minds, because out of sight, out of mind, especially when you're getting in so many new talents. And I thought it was a great heel way to keep him in your mind. And then they did a Danielson Moxley promo video, which got me even more hyped for a match I was already hyped for.
Can't wait to talk about that one. Now, Now, Randy, he dead. We got Hook versus QT Marshall. I thought this was good in the sense this was the most selling we've had to see Hook do so far.
Yeah, QT came in with a lot of attitude, really trying to act the part.
Old school heel part.
Yeah. He only got an advantage on Hook with underhanded tactics. Otherwise, Hook looked amazing as always. And I thought it was good placement on the card. It wasn't going to be a terribly long match. So you almost want to get it into that middle slot on the pre-show.
And then we had the House of Black versus Pac, Penta, and Eric Redbeard, who might have been there just for a cup of coffee. We'll see.
Yeah, this had to be the match of the pre-show. Fast start. Redbeard versus King is a great big man clash that they had that I want to see more of that.
Absolutely.
And this is another match where they've had the rivalry going up until now. You debuted Redbeard on the Rampage just before this. Yes. I sound kind of like shit, Randy. So I'm like 80% there. Mm-hmm. I've only got a 20% blockage. I'm breaking through.
He's going to break through.
I'm actually feeling good enough to get out and about tonight a little bit with a mask on. So, it's about time. Been in the house 5 days now. Like, you could tell if I'm getting on the wrestling cast, I'm ready to talk.
Yeah, we got him.
But yeah, I thought this match was great. Like, and Redbeard has been more impressive than I expected him to be coming in.
Same. Yeah, I wasn't necessarily, had never really been overly impressed with him. I thought this was one of his better performances. I thought he worked well and had great chemistry with all these guys. And it kind of made me want them to give him a spot. But at the same time, this roster's so damn crowded. Good luck, brother. I mean,
Oh, Randy, I can still smell and taste beautifully.
Mm-hmm. Now, speaking of beautiful, let's move on to this pay-per-view, buddy.
God, Jericho versus Kingston.
Yes.
This was the best match I've seen Jericho do in a long time.
Yeah.
And to me, it just felt like it had the feeling of like a Japanese styled match. Suplexes on necks, chops, just wild shit all match.
All Japan all day. Yeah. Was this no, that was Dynamite where he had the shirt. So Tyler Peters coming at us with some comments here.
Now, Tyler, being a newer fan of Japanese wrestling, does this make you want to dip into the 90s All Japan? Because I don't know if you're that deep into it. I know if you check out Tyler's Take podcast and find him on social media, check out whatever he's doing, because this man puts the podcast work in.
He does.
But this match was just a great example of two guys that love the Japanese style that put in that work.
Absolutely. And I like the angle they set up at the end where Jericho not shaking the hand. I even commented, I remember to Scott saying, like, I feel like there's definitely going to be more to this. They're telling a story. I almost thought it was possibly playing Jericho leaving or something for a little while. But as we learned on Wednesday, that's not the case. But great matchup. All right. Then we had our three-way for the tag titles. Jurassic Express versus Red Dragon and the Young Bucks.
That last match, Eddie Kingston won in 14-12.
Oh, yep. My apologies. 14-12. Interesting.
Oh, all times are courtesy of cagematch.net. I was not sitting there with a stopwatch. I was secretly sick, and I risked all these dudes' lives. I didn't even know.
Oh, man. Randy letting us know that Jericho does have a Fozzy tour coming up.
Yeah, Tyler, he's actually got a stall. Yeah. He's got a stop in New Haven. He's going to be at Toad's place, I believe.
So what do you think about this three-way dance? I know me and Scott were saying we thought that the Bucks and Dragon were going to cancel each other out and they would somehow get a victory here. I didn't think it was quite as much as I expected, but anyway, I thought they had a great showing. What did you think of the match overall?
It was a good match. Like I said, I wanted Red Dragon to win, but they're really behind this Jurassic Express, which nothing wrong with that, but I don't know. Like, I'm kind of tired of them as tag champs, so I was ready for Red Dragon to take that spot. But I mean, setting up further dissension with the Bucks and Dragon, like we'll talk about it when it comes to Dynamite. But It's really tough because between this pay-per-view and Dynamite, there's so many storylines that flow one to another, so many connections. It's going to be hard to talk about like this show without referencing Wednesday night at any point.
Right. But that was a good win, I thought, for Jurassic Express. I'm curious what time you got, because I have it Wikipedia, America's most trusted news source, at 18 minutes and 55 seconds.
Ooh, I got 1911 from Cage Match.
It's interesting because there was a little difference between that and the last one too, but it's subtle, so I'm kind of curious.
I mean, I'll make an argument against Wikipedia, but
yeah, hey, one of the all-time greats.
AEW has, they got so many tag teams.
Is there anything else you want to comment on this match? I thought it was a great match, but at the end of the day,
good match. I didn't have a ton of notes for it because, like, to me, it's hard to take notes during a match like this where you got so many moving parts.
Mm-hmm. I heard some people said it killed a little bit of momentum of the next match in the sense it was such a hot match, and that was the Face of the Revolution ladder match. We had Wardlow beating Christian Cage, Keith Lee, Orange Cassidy, Powerhouse Hobbs, and Ricky Starks. Cassidy got injured in here. Before I pitch to you, I'll just say I really was happy that they put Wardlow over. I think he's starting to shine, and I'm excited to see what they're going to do with him. What do you think overall?
Good match. That spot where him and Hobbs broke the ladder, that was pretty cool. I don't think I've seen that before. American Top Team in the stands. Good match. I mean, yeah, Orange Cassidy got injured. That was the only other note I had.
Yeah. I don't think there's really much else to say. It was a showcase, a lot of big high spots. Wardlow got the W, and he'll be showcased again later on, as we'll talk about. After that, this next match kind of had to kiss a death spot.
Well, right before that match, we had Shivani on the ramp.
Oh,
and he announced the signing of Swerve, which was no surprise who he was announcing because he was swinging around the clipboard and you could like read the front of it on there. Yeah. It was a cool spot, but I mean, you could have easily done it on the buy-in. You could have kept it to Dynamite. It turns out he comes out on Dynamite and then announces he's got a match. We'll get to that.
Yep. Tony Nese. Anyway, after that, Jay Cargo versus Ty Conti. People were saying this is one of Jay Cargo's better matches. I was starting to feel tired at this point. I think I left.
It was a hell of a start to the match.
Yeah, I seen the kiss on social media everywhere.
Yeah, so did everybody else.
Yeah. I will say this about the Jay Cargo. They are building her up properly. She's come off. They're making a Goldberg-like thing where she's now 28, 29-0. I think she's going for 30-0. I don't know if it's next Wednesday.
Oh, yeah, next Wednesday.
Is it? Yeah. So they're making it feel important, and I'm excited to see, like, at some point who might show up. But
she came out dressed as Jade from Mortal Kombat.
Yeah. Hey, it was well right for what it was. It was, to me, there was so much stacked on this card though. It was hard for me to be.
I almost would have put this on the buy-in and put Layla Hirsch versus Chris Statlander on the main card. But you know, you got so many matches, things got to end up like someplace.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But this was kind of like, if this pay-per-view had any kind of a lame duck match, that might have been the only one.
Yeah, hell, it needed a little downtime. All right. Now, are we ready? Because you got the notes and stuff here with Swerve. I have the dog collar matches next here.
Dog collar match is next. Yep, they went right into it.
I want to talk about this real quick. You kind of remember this as we talk about it.
They had a promo video right before the match. So
yes,
the Jade Cargill match ended, and they did pretty good where they do a video and then lead into the match. They did this
for all the big matches.
One of the other matches.
Yeah, for all the big matches. Okay. All right. MJF comes out. He does like the teaser of Cult of Personality for a few seconds, and he comes out to his music. And then Punk comes out, and I don't recognize the song at first. And then he has, his old Ring of Honor look. Excalibur, MVP, brings it up. It's an awesome song, by the way. I've been playing it all week.
I recognize the song,
Yeah.
I never knew he used it because I became a fan of his like during the WWE run.
Same. I knew about his Ring of Honor stuff, but like, yeah, he first came on my radar in WWE. Okay. So before I pay, what can else you say? Bloody match, told a story, great job. And then Wardlow at the end there with, not knowing what pocket, and he kind of makes the turn. All of this gave a big fight feel. They told an awesome story. Punk gets the W. Wardlow comes out like a star. As we'll find out later, too, on Dynamite, neither one showed up. They just had a video package. So I love the fact they sold it. Such good old school stuff here. I was a big fan. What did you think?
Oh, yeah. Amazing match. Like, this one went 26:48, and the one before it went 7 minutes and 3 seconds. So, this didn't feel like 26:48. This felt perfect. Like, the match was amazing. Wardlow coming out at the end, finally kind of breaking his story off or setting up what's going to happen was just great. I thought it was great. I thought it was early in the show for it. I figured it might be like later on, but the thing was the whole pacing was great.
They could have closed with that.
Ooh, big question here.
Was this one better than Piper Valentine? That's a classic, man. But for me,
I would have to watch it again before I say something that definitive. I say it gives it a run for its money.
Mm-hmm. This might be.
I would have to watch Piper Valentine at least one more time after seeing this to kind of gauge it.
Okay. After that, we went to Britt Baker versus Thunder Rosa.
They had a video package for the match right before it.
I thought this match was good, but I thought it suffered for having to follow the dog collar match. Like, this was not their lights out matchup they had from a year ago, which again, too, high expectations. But I think, it told the story. It had all the interference in it, which a lot of people didn't like, but again, tells the story, what it's going to lead to, which we'll talk about later. Overall, I thought it served its purpose. It was fine, but nothing to write home about either.
Another long match on this card, 17 and a half minutes. Britt Baker gets the win. Is it the reason they're redoing it in a cage next Wednesday?
I don't think so. I think
in San Antonio.
I think they had this planned out. I think this was part of the story and interference and stuff like that. I do think that the dog collar match and the Moxley Danielson match after this did kill some of the momentum. I'm sure they didn't have that plan, but when you have such a stacked show and so much talent, that's going to happen to somebody.
There were so many good matches that just the way they stacked it was, like that's what I was saying earlier. You're gonna suffer because something you're gonna feel like should be later in the show, perhaps.
Yeah.
But this was followed by a Danielson Moxley video package, which once again, I didn't think I could be more hyped for this match. But then every video package they play, I'm like, okay, I'm ready for this. And this was 20 minutes and 44 seconds of, once again, amazingness, I thought.
Let's talk about it. Hold on before you do. I got to tell a story here about this match. So first time I watched this match twice because it was so good. I wanted to go back and watch it. And the reason why, first time I watched it, I had it playing on when I was in the bread truck and I was driving. And so I'm watching the match and I'm focused on the road, folks, for the most part. Like you are on your cell phones. I know who you are out there. All right. So I'm out there. I'm listening. I'm doing a good part. And then suddenly, after the match ends, all right, and Moxley gets the W and they're fighting, I could hear a rumbling. And I'm like, what is this? And I see Regal. And I'm like, holy shit. I lost it. I was like, oh. And I ignored all social media. I ignored all text I got.
I thought you were about to tell us you ignored all stop signs, all red lights.
I didn't know what that red octagon thing was. No one had taught me. I fucking went in there and I was like, afterwards I saw AJ, no spoilers, but holy shit. And I knew what he meant because I looked at it afterwards, but I did not look at anything. So I had no idea.
A spoiler in itself.
It would have been, but I never looked at it. As soon as I woke up in the morning, I saw multiple texts in Lanu. I looked at my phone and I just swiped. I'm like, we'll deal with this later. And I immediately put on the pay-per-view. To their credit this time, by the way, AEW on Bleacher Report the pay-per-view was ready to go the next day on replay. The last time we did this last year, I had to wait like till noon as I was watching the Spanish replay just so I didn't have to see any more spoilers. So
Dave doesn't know any Spanish either, so it sucked.
What's that?
You don't know any Spanish either, do you? So
I don't know no Spanish shit. Yeah, great show. They beat the shit out of each other. Like they just kicked and punched each other, and it looked as hard as it can. As Rigo would say, I hit people hard in safe places, and that's what I saw here. But it was snug as a motherfucker.
Yep, both bleeding, both looked like they had been through it, and not only was this match noteworthy, but spoiler alert, Dave already popped it for you.
Yeah.
The after-match announcement was almost as big.
Yeah, that was crazy. And Regal did such a good job too with his selling of like the anger, and that I know Jake St. John, fan of the show, he was calling it like it'd be so cool if Regal showed up, and he did. And then he talked about it too, where Regal did that little headbutt to get the blood on him from Mox and everything. It was just like, oh man, like he's so fucking good. And I said this somewhere recently, but if you look at Regal's history in the States, at least, and this is WCW and WWE, both are guilty of this. They've really played up his comedic character because he's phenomenal at that, and he's really good all-around performer. We didn't always get a glimpse of badass Regal. As Les Thatcher pointed out in this, the Pillman Memorial Show match he had with Benoit, which was insane. And if you look at his stuff with Fit Finlay when he showed up at WCW and they had that match uncensored many years ago now, and their stuff in Europe, beat the shit out of each other in a different way. Kind of like Mox and Danielson did. Just hit each other hard, except for in that match, I think somebody's face ended up getting broken. It wasn't that safe, but it's a physical match. So this is a different aspect to seeing Regal like this. I'm excited to see what he brings.
Yeah, it was great, and they only furthered it on Wednesday.
Absolutely. And so we had the 6-man match after this, which I got to tell you. Okay, so Darby, Allen, Sammy Guevara, Sting versus the Andrade family, Andrade, Matt Hardy, Isaiah Cassidy. Okay, I get all that out there to go. Going in, didn't give a fuck about this. I was
I was like, it's kind of late in the show for this match, so
Sure.
All right, but
yeah.
I mean, the only thing that it had going for it is a storyline that's been on TV that they're playing out now.
But, okay, another holy shit moment. First, Sammy does the Spanish fly, fucking crazy with Isaiah off the Titantron onto a table. And it's nuts. And I'm like, wow, okay. But, I've seen Sammy do crazy shit before, so I'm not really too moved. But
almost every week.
Yeah, he's fucking nuts. So I'm ready for that. But cool. Nope. I was not ready. I'm sorry, I'm coughing up. These baby lungs are getting to me today. I was not ready for 62-year-old Sting or whatever he is to jump off a balcony on Andrade through tables. Now I lost my fucking mind again. Not quite like Regal, but still lost my fucking mind. And
I saw them set it up, and then when I saw Sting walking up the steps, I'm like, there's no way.
Yeah.
There's no way.
He never did this when he was younger, so I didn't expect it, but what a professional. What a absolute stud. As JR said, the fucking balls on this guy. I'm glad Sting's a part of this company, and I'm glad he's getting this run now. He deserves it. And I hope he doesn't get injured and nothing happens to him. But yeah, what a great competitor. It makes me proud to be a wrestling fan. Absolutely can't say enough good things about Sting in this. MVP.
100%. Like, you would think he'd be doing like jumps like that when he was still on the drugs and stuff, so that way at least you feel it a little less. Like at his age, I almost feel like you're gonna feel it more. But standout spot in the match went 13:01.
Yep.
Darby, Sammy, and Sting took the victory. What more?
And this match could have easily got lost in the shuffle with everything would happen, but they didn't. So.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Now this match, main event time. Hangman Page and Adam Cole. I thought, now I should point out this, as much as I avoided spoilers, I'm watching this on my phone. I went to tap the full screen and I accidentally tapped the very end. So I actually knew who won because I see Hangman and I see his music playing and I'm like, son of a bitch. But I'm like, all right, well, maybe something happened. So I watched it all the way through. So this match was a little spoiled for me. I didn't quite have the same excitement. It was the end of the show. Seemed fine, but at the end of the day,
it's a 26-minute match at the end of like a 4-hour pay-per-view.
Yeah.
And I don't think the title fight had all that much heat going into it.
That's the problem.
It was a good enough main event. Like, I was excited for it, but I was also kind of tired by that point in the night.
That was the problem. Like, at the end of the night, when you have that long of a show, I need to feel like the outcome is in doubt. And even before I spoiled it for myself, I never thought the outcome was in doubt for this, because after Cole lost that match, I said it many times, to Orange Cassidy in the Lights Out match, and I know it wasn't his loss, but you positioned it in a way I just didn't see. Okay, like I think they like Cole and they booked him pretty well, but they didn't book him to the point where I'm like, okay, he's not winning the world title. I didn't think that. So that was it. So that one little thing they did a while back, which isn't a big deal, it's just nitpicking, but on a 4-hour show, it came back to kind of haunt me, where I'm just like, yeah, this one just didn't do it as well for me. But overall, awesome show. I'll answer this question. Should AEW have 6 pay-per-views instead of 4? No, because I love the fact, let's keep the big fight feels and let's keep it down to 4, like the old WWE days where we had Rumble, Mania, SummerSlam, Survivor Series. That's what we need.
100%.
Ready to talk some AEW Dynamite?
Oh, I am. It's been a rough week, because when I was watching this that night, when I went to bed this night, I woke up the next morning feeling like absolute shit. So I don't know if, how I felt that night kind of affected like my enjoyment of the pay-per-view, but like I didn't have a ton of notes coming on the tail end of that. But Dynamite, I was starting to feel better by, and there's a lot to talk about. Like, this is a good Dynamite, but I want to go back up to the comment that Randy made earlier.
Oh, Britt Baker promo?
No. They jam a lot into the AEW Dynamite episodes, but this episode just had so much more crammed in there.
This felt Vince Russo-like at times. Like that old WCW when Russo was taking over Impact, where I'm like, it was good, it was fun for what it was. I don't know what the fuck I just watched sometimes.
There was a big moment in the middle that just kind of got like glossed over.
Oh, yeah. We'll talk about that. So, all right. We kicked off with Kingston and Jericho. Holy shit, Eddie Kingston. Like the shirt with the homage to All Japan Wrestling from Post, the long Royal Winding Road, WH Park, I believe, covers that. Fantastic. The fucking Jericho beforehand did such an awesome job, because Jericho's selling this like an actual babyface, like he might just shake his hand. But part of me is like, I don't fucking buy that. I watched enough wrestling, but he did such a good job. Then
Kingston shut down those what chants quick.
Oh, he shut it down. He fucking responded to everybody good. And I believed him. Like when he talks about, I didn't want to show up. I didn't want to drink. I didn't buy that. I can believe it. But when he said he talked to people at the Fan Fest and they told him how they changed his life, I felt like, that fucking happened. And like he's included in his promo. And it was so fucking good and so believable. When he said, at the end of the day, you don't want to shake my hand. That's a you problem. And what's wrong with you? Very accurate, very real. Jericho sucks it up and shakes his hand. And then we see 2.0 and Garcia come out. So it kind of looks like, we might have a new babyface team here, blah, blah, blah. But again, in my mind, now I'm paying close attention because I'm looking at how they're doing this. And Jericho kind of falls, and they're not completely laying into him. AJ actually noticed this on his TikTok. I'll give him credit for this. And
because I noticed that as well. Like they were putting the boots to him, but it was like they were mostly on Kingston, and then like one person would come over and try and make it look legitimate on Jericho.
Right.
It'd be like a couple hits and then go away. And yeah.
It was good. That was well done. I like the way they did that. And then obviously Santana Ortiz come down with the bats. That's when Jericho makes his turn and they're beating him down. And then Hager comes down fired up, and it's only a few minutes, about a minute later, Hager's like, boom, and he's joining in, and they're beating him up. And I gotta say, I'll let you comment on this too, but I just like this new faction in the sense that Matt Lee, the bigger guy from 2.0 there, and Jericho together. I can't imagine the ridiculousness of this faction. And I think this is going to be a great opportunity for 2.0 to shine on the mic because they're good, and Jericho will bring out the best of them. Hager will be the muscle. He is what he is. And Garcia, I think this will be great for him because he's going to learn with Jericho, and he's going to get big opportunities.
Yeah, it kind of walks that fine line of, is Jericho putting these guys over by having them join a faction with him, or is he joining a faction with them to kind of get on this like goodwill they've got? You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
since they're the hot new thing, is Jericho attaching himself to that to get that bleed off attention?
I mean,
He needed to freshen up the group. The
Yeah.
inner circle was great, but
it's
been 2.5 years, 3 years now, and it needed to move on to something. So I liked it.
I did too. Mutually beneficial. This group will work for everybody. All right. Then we went to a yes. Oh yeah, we will comment on that. That power bomb where thank God for the heels because they were actually trying to save Eddie's life because it looked like
That thing wasn't looking good, and then they straightened it out to help pull it off, which took me out of it a little bit, but I mean JR covered for it well, so it worked.
They had to or kill him.
Yeah.
All right. Then I wasn't on AEW social media this night. So, yeah, we had a random world title match. Hangman Page versus Dante Martin.
It felt random, but they did explain during the course of the match. JR did his best to remind you why Dante Martin deserves to be here. He's not coming out of nowhere, folks. He's a number 2 ranked contender.
Right, number 2
this year. He's 18-2 in his last 20 matches.
It's great. I mean, God bless him. And
I wondered why the fuck he was there. It's like your brother came back and you're already leaving him.
I thought so. I like having matches where you get with the champ and it's fun and stuff like that. But yes, because it was so thrown together and it wasn't like mentioned a week before or even coming out of Revolution, since it was like, or the Revolution, the road to Revolution, because I watched that. It was like, what the fuck did we get this? That being said, fun little match. This leads to another random thing coming up soon, but we'll get to that. But
I had down good enough match. It wasn't terrible.
Yeah.
But it was like I had to have JR explain to me why Dante Martin had to be here. And by the time JR had like settled my curiosity about that, the match was half over.
Right.
And so I was like, okay, he deserves to be here. Oh, he lost. Cool. Let's get on to the next thing.
Yes. Adam Cole shows up. Well, actually, first Hangman calls Dante to the ring and puts him over and talks about he's a hell of a competitor. And then basically Cole comes out and, talking about how, I don't even remember. He's going to whoop their ass, whatever. Heel shit. Basically, he wants to fight him and 2 partners of his choice. And he very much hints it's going to be the Bucks, talking about, I got some young guys in the bag, friends. And of course, it's not going to be that, as we find out.
Did he say in the back at first? Because the way he was framing it, I was almost wondering if they're bringing in a new tag team at first.
He was hinting at the Bucks. He was saying something about young. And then later on in the back, he's talking about guys that like to party, that bring the party, a couple. Yeah. So he definitely was hinting at the Bucks.
I know when I heard that bring the party and then it turns out it's going to be Red Dragon, I'm like, Bobby Fish is one of the oldest people on the roster. Like, I don't doubt he likes to have a good time, but like, this is the dude you're going to party.
That's pretty funny.
He's going to make sure you drink like 2 glasses of water for every drink you have.
You better stay hydrated, folks.
Yeah.
Lift with your knees. All right. So this one, I actually wanted to message you this night, but I wanted to get to bed because, all right, one thing about Joe is he was always a fan on the independent circuit of the Workhorsemen.
I was going to mention it because I was very excited about this, and a couple of my notes actually pertain to this.
All right, so they take on Danielson and Moxley. They come out with Regal. This one was kind of thrown together too, but it made sense at least. Regal comes out selling the look of like the poor workhorsemen, like these poor schmuck, like you don't know what you got into. He's fantastic. It's a good match, good beat down by Danielson and Moxley. They look great. I'll let you take over in a minute, but this leads to Regal's promo. I love me some William Regal. This went on a little long. Obviously, Regal went over. He apologized for this on social media because he said, I don't know how else to be more direct. I don't want people to think I gossip. This was my mistake. That being said, he did put over what he needed to put over at the promo, which is basically, and I'll talk about the Tony thing in a second, but he ended this with basically, hey, you want to come up against us? It's not going to work out for you. You come at us, we're going to end up on top. We're going to take you out. And before this, which was you really get a good idea how good of promo he can be, where he's talking about all the stuff he went through and everything. He thanks Tony Schiavone and how he was there to help him. And he doesn't really go into detail because he doesn't really need to. It's personal between them, obviously. And he gets emotional. And Schiavone gets a little emotional. And you see Schiavone kind of pulls it back together. And Regal immediately turns it on, okay, now back to being a rogue. And then he puts over Danielson about how Danielson was everything he should have been. But Danielson was Regal without the drugs, without the alcohol, and not so many words. He was Danielson. Danielson was Regal without the demons, and he's the best wrestler in the world. And then he met Moxley, and all the evil things they did would have made the devil blush, basically. I think he was some kind of line. And, and then Regal basically put it all back together. So,
yeah, you ran together kind of in 2 segments for me to cover here.
Dude, we're going to go fuck it over, but I don't think we have an interview for this week's audio, so fuck it.
No, we don't. But there was a lot to this because if you just get to the match, I wouldn't say it felt thrown together because we knew we were going to get Danielson and Moxley.
Right.
It was just a matter of who were they going to face. And when it got announced just before the show that it was going to be the Workhorsemen, that is super notable because up until now, JD Drake's been a part of the Wingmen. And that's all I've ever seen him put on.
Right.
Anthony Green has appeared on Dark. So for the fact that they teamed them up, Anthony Henry, yep, because Anthony Green is all good Anthony Green.
Yeah, retro. Anthony.
But yeah, the fact that they teamed them up and gave them the name was huge. A good team to go up against these guys in the ring. A little sad to see them squashed, but
yeah,
like you said, the big part of this was William Regal's in-ring promo afterwards. His health and his time left seemed to be a real focus of his words.
Yes.
29 years ago, first time on TBS with Tony Schiavone, really put over his friendship with Danielson and how Danielson kept his name in the public when he wasn't there. And there was a lot of emotion to this. So the fact that it ran long, not a huge deal. It felt long, a little rambling at times, but this is a man, you give the microphone, you let him say what he wanted to say. Yeah. And like you said, what did Schiavone do for Regal 29 years ago that, was what happened? Hopefully we'll find out at some point.
Hey, quick theory, because I remember Regal coming out in WCW, and he wrestled a couple matches, a very plain babyface with that very, just plain kind of wrestling style, which was not going to get over that time in America. And it wasn't long after that he became a heel, and a very good heel. I wonder if Schiavone had any input to that.
Could be that. Maybe. Who knows? We could speculate all day. It'll be interesting to hear when that comes out, what exactly it was.
So, did you want to add anything else to this?
No, that's it. I mean, I tried summarizing it as best as I could. This is definitely a promo to watch.
Absolutely. Okay, now let's get back to random again. Somewhere after that world title match, we got announced because it didn't go the full 60 minutes. What?
Well, there was a Dark Order backstage segment right before.
Okay, let's talk about that. Go ahead. I don't even remember. I barely remember. I do, but go ahead.
Okay, so they had Dark Order backstage. Adam Page comes in and, apologizes to John Silver for yelling at him. John Silver tries guessing which 2 of the Dark Order are going to join Adam Page in that 6-man tag match, and he explains that he ran into Jurassic Express and It was awkward, so he kind of agreed to let them in the 6-man tag match, but he would catch up with Dark Order later. It still feels like they're trying to tease some dissension, but feel like there's a friendship there.
Hmm.
That was the bulk of it. Furthering
I
that
hope,
story, but not like integral to the show.
I hope John Silver and oh God,
Alex
not
Reynolds.
Alex Reynolds. Thank you. I hope maybe they do something with them. Maybe they end up leaving, and maybe they'll join Cole, because they've always kind of had a relationship on BTE where Cole hates these guys and stuff. But
Yeah.
maybe it leads to them actually getting a chance with him and maybe take him more seriously.
We'll have to see, because like until this storyline plays out, Dark Order's kind of been where they're at. And I mean, they've blown up so many other factions for less that it's almost like, is it Dark Order's time, or will they keep them together?
I'll tell you what, AEW, I know we don't want more titles, but they almost need a U.S. tag team title. Like, if ever there was a company they could have gone with a secondary tag team title, like this company could.
Oh yeah, they have a ton of teams on this, and like so many underutilized ones. That's why, thank God, ROH got bought. Thank God they have Dark and Dark Elevation to feature some of these teams.
Absolutely. Actually, I was thinking today, guest of the show, SAT. I'd love to see them get a shot on Dark or something too. Just like,
Oh yeah.
yeah. But
Now
okay,
back to the weird like conditions you said that brought about this match, because I've never heard of this.
yeah, okay. I have heard of standby matches, but the way
they were
done-
big in like the old Mid-South territory.
yeah, or the Crockett's, but it was also like at the end of the day, like they started off with a world title match, and didn't go the full 60, it ended like with 80, and then you finish off with that, and it was whatever. It was usually like maybe an enhancement match or something, or with this.
Like you didn't have the rest of this show planned
you
out,
put it the
and
rest
you're
of the
like,
show.
somebody else couldn't have gotten a couple extra minutes.
Yeah, and then they actually, because Regal actually went long, they had to rush to everything. So if we didn't put the standby match on, it would have been rushed.
Exactly.
Anyway, Pac versus Rio Yuta, fine match. It is what it is. Pac always looks tremendous. Yuta's growing on me. He's definitely got some good skills. But it was what it was. Pac got the W, and it was a chance to Pac to get some shine here, I thought.
Decent mid-card filler match is the only thing I had written down.
Adam Cole backstage with Red Dragon and the Bucks. This is basically where we're going to find out it's not the Bucks, it's Red Dragon. And they kind of tease some dissension here.
Yeah, because the Bucks said they were out if Hangman was involved, and Cole's like, well, I was going to pick Red Dragon anyways. So that was an interesting misdirection that I was kind of confused about.
Oh, sure.
And then the next part, which
yeah.
I don't know
FTR
how
backstage.
this got buried, or like most people might have forgotten it on the show.
Yeah. FTR backstage interview with Alex Marvarez. Basically,
Going off about family.
Was it Cash? I don't remember.
No, Dax was going off about family.
Family, right? And then Tully cut him off and said, "I got a family too." And basically, but what about the
who's your daughter?
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. We can't mention her on TV. You know why? Because you're fired. Get the fuck out.
Yeah. I mean, fired Tully Blanchard in a throwaway segment. Apparently, he's not with FTR. Are you guys even part of the Pinnacle anymore? I don't know if there is a Pinnacle. Wardlow appears to be out. Hopefully, some of this will get explained. But yeah, FTR, one of my favorite teams of all time. My favorite team, actually, currently in wrestling. They're that good. And Tully Blanchard, I think, unlike a lot of the managers, like Jake's been kind of hit or miss. Iron is good, obviously. But to me, I think Tully is like maybe the most consistent in terms of like, he maybe hasn't had those Iron Anderson like promos, but everything he's done has been good. And I don't think I've seen him miss once.
No, he's always delivered, always been out there. And this was a surprise. Now,
yes,
as if there weren't enough factions breaking up or people being fired, we had the AHFO in-ring segment.
Yes.
Vote on whether Matt should be kicked out. It was done perfectly. You know, it felt drawn out enough, but he ends up getting voted out. He gets beat down. And then the crowd, I mean, I expected Jeff Hardy to come out at this point, but I see Darby Allin and Sting come out for the save, and
They're outnumbered.
JR made a very interesting note that they're still short one person.
Yes.
And then we mentioned it on yesterday's live broadcast, but Jeff Hardy comes out for the save
Yeah.
and still finds a moment to dance, which is amazing. The memes have tickled me to no end.
Mm.
And, comes in for the save. Jeff Hardy does a swanton. He's a part of AEW.
Yeah. And they got that old music because it was available. And I thought it was perfect. And it actually really added something to that because the crowd knew right away.
Turns out it's stock music, which is amazing.
Yeah.
Jeff's a musician. You almost think he would have done his own theme or they would have done something, but nope.
I bet you at some point that Jeff will have some of his own music with this, but this was a great way to kind of bring it back because even though it's just stock music, like that music was so synonymous with them and it fit the Hardys so perfectly back in the day and people just knew right away. So I think it was great. Whoever, and that still somebody had to know that. Somebody put that together and said, oh, hey, this is available. We can just use this. Cool.
Yeah. And after this was followed by Swerve backstage.
Yes.
Announces his first match is going to be on Rampage, which as we are recording this, that's tonight. I'm looking forward to this debut. Knee steps up as the first challenger, references his history with Swerve on Fridays. They say they're going to do it, and huge match for Rampage.
Yes. I believe after this, we went to Wardlow with his first in-ring promo, first long in-ring promo anyway.
Yep, and really kind of explained what happened in the match, kind of explained him, and it made it clear that even though he hasn't broken away from MJF because he can't because of that contractual agreement, he doesn't care anymore. And this really put him over as a person. He got a new shirt out of the promo. I thought it was great.
I thought it was good too. I just laugh at this. I always laugh at this. I'm contractually obligated, but I'm not actually. I hope Tony Khan somehow manages to give this guy a contract.
Yeah.
But I thought for speaking for as long as he did sometime, he didn't come off over the top. He came off like a regular person, and that was okay because Wardlow is such a presence and he comes off like such a superstar. This is all right especially for his first interview. Down the road, we might have to see some fire from him, but I thought this was a good first step.
Yeah, they built up good will with him through the crowd has goodwill with him.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that sympathy power bomb spot where he just multiple power bombs everybody. Awesome idea. I believe after this is where we got QT Marshall backstage with Keith Lee.
Yeah,
where
offering to have Keith Lee's back, him in the factory.
As Keith Lee pointed out, I have a large back. I'm good, which apparently pissed off QT Marshall. You'll pay for this.
I want to know if QT is supposed to be as corny as he's coming off. It's got to be, right? Because it's playing off hilariously.
Yeah. No, this is definitely his role in this company. Is he's just going to be the guy that gets beat up right now and bumped around. And he comes off as that, oh, God, I don't know. I like Jerry Lawler, corny heel sometimes where Lawler would get beat up. Or
so bad it's good.
Yeah. So good for him. Then we had the AEW Tag Team Championship match. Again, another match that I kind of found out like a little bit before the show. Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus take on the Acclaim.
It's funny that you almost called him Jungle Express because when I was writing my notes, that's what I had written down, and I had to cross out Jungle and put Jurassic.
But
I was starting to get tired of this show right about now because there was so much. And like I said, I'm not huge into Jurassic Express.
Same.
So this is the first point in the show where I had a little bit of burnout and it almost like affected the rest of the show. But not a terrible match. Acclaimed always looks good.
Yep. And it continues to push Jurassic Express. We're a big fan of that as like, solid dominant champions. And we'll see as time goes on who's going to knock them off. I hope it's Red Dragon, FTR. We'll find out.
It's a good question.
Leia Hirsch versus Thunder Rosa.
We had a Jade Cargill and Smart Mark Sterling video promo kind of setting up her streak. and setting up that I believe there's going to be a match on Rampage.
Yes, very good.
That should make her 30-0.
Yes. And then we had Hirsch and Rosa.
I was surprised that this match was even in here. I was like, God, we got to be getting near to the end of the night. But no, there's still there's 3 segments left after this, and there's like a half hour left in the show.
Yep. And basically the big thing here was Rosa got the win. It set up the title match for next week as she was getting interviewed by Shivani. Baker said, basically, I feel bad about if a carny piece of trash ends up with the title like you, and it doesn't matter because Tony announced that we are going to get
Tony announces it's a steel cage match, and then it throws to Britt Baker backstage with
Right.
Rebel and Jamie Hayter.
I'm
And
getting tired of talking about so much.
Yeah, I don't have any notes on my page here because by this point where I was watching it, I'm like, God, this show is still going on. This is the first time that AEW made 2 hours feel like 3.
See, and I think it's what they said on post too. If you're just watching the show, it's super enjoyable. But if you have to take notes for this, it's fucking difficult. Because
yeah.
All right.
Yeah, because watching it that night, I was like, oh shit, so much has happened. But then as you're writing down notes, you're like, oh wow, I forgot about this match. All right, well, I'll give you something for this one.
All right. Main event time. Scorpio Sky has been undefeated for almost a year at this point, going in against Sammy Guevara. I've been saying for a while, I thought the story would be here that Scorpio is going to win, and I think Wardlow is going to destroy him. That being said, they did such a good job in this match of, one, Sammy fighting from underneath as a guy, who's battling back from adversity, and 2, Scorpio just feeling like a big deal. They put over the fact that he's been a tag team champion, now the first ever tag team champion and TNT champion. They put over the mistake of Sammy going through the table and Scorpio capitalizing and Sammy trying to fight back. They did such a good job of first time we see Ty Conti on stage as Sammy's love interest, right? They haven't talked about that at least on air before. And she comes out, she's putting over, she's emotional. And Scorpio being the great heel. You want to kiss him? I'll kiss him for you,
Yeah.
Puts him back in the ring. I thought that was awesome, And then we see Paige Van Sanchez show up. And now it's kind of making sense okay, we're leading to something here. And then, of course, she jumps. Actually, Ty had stopped Ethan Page from being on the ring apron, took him down, and I think she kicked him in the nuts, if I remember. And that's when
Van Zandt came
out, jumps him. Guevara's distracted. Scorpio capitalizes, wins the TNT title. Afterwards, hits Sammy with the belt on top of it to put him over even more as a heel. And then Paige throws Ty in the ring, kicks her in the head, throws her top on Sammy, and then signs her contract on Ty's ass that everybody likes to talk about. They go off the air, big heel celebration, and it made me question, maybe, even though I called part of this, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe MJF's going to play a part in this or something. Maybe because Scorpio came off such a big deal here that I'm interested to see where this reign goes.
We'll see. They've
done a lot.
I forgot so many details of this end just because there were so many. This show was jam packed, and this last segment was jam packed. There was so much to it. But yeah, Paige Van Sant is all elite.
Yeah.
I mean, Scorpio Sky's the champion. They built it up well. I'm just not overly excited about it right now. I kind of want to see where it's going to go from here.
I'm actually getting ready because we've been going for almost an hour, and we did promise these people a top 5 of the week. So
fuck. I'll tell you what's not on my top 5 of the week is the top 5 of the week. That's on my bottom 5 of the week.
I'll give it to you quick. Regal makes my top 5 of the week. I think that has to make both of ours. MLW Super Fight. Got to watch this last night. I love when MLW puts on the big shows. They did a really good job here. I don't know if you've seen it.
Everything but the main event so far.
All right. And I won't even spoil this for you. This is a great show, folks. Check it out. Wardlow. He makes my top 5 of the week. NWA Power, I Quit match. This is going to air actually tonight, I believe. Is it tonight? Yeah, night on YouTube. So for you people who haven't seen it yet, this is me and Joe said probably the best episode of NWA Power ever. This is the Cardona Trevor Murdoch World Title match that you probably already know about. Check it out. Also, my final top 5, the dog collar match / CM Punk's old Ring of Honor theme that I learned about. Just really love this whole process. So good stuff.
All right, so I've got an interesting top 5 of the week because somebody was sick this week, get held down by the virus. So my top 5 of the week begins with being able to eat. Didn't
Yes.
do that for a couple days because, couldn't get out of bed, but feeling leads to my number 2, feeling relatively alive. If
Ew.
anybody's had that COVID, they know it'll put you on your ass for a minute.
Live,
And I felt pretty good yesterday. I'm feeling relatively normal today. 4 or 3 has got to be that dog collar match. That was amazing. Or no, that was 3. 4 is Regal. And
Yeah.
you can tell I'm sick. My fucking details are all over the place. And the 5th is that this show is over. That's kind of making my week this week.
Yeah, we've had some long stuff going on here. We had a meeting before this too, guys. So
I know I've been in this seat for close to 2 hours.
yeah,
And I'm like, fuck, Dave, I'm fucking up.
I went from I gotta make it to the bank. I have plenty of time to we gotta end this. I gotta be here by 4, baby.
All right, so guys, thank you for joining us this week, and we will talk to you again next week.